Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies, the show where we discuss movies old and new. Today, it's a little blast from the past. This is a movie that came out, I believe, 2 years ago. I want to say 2022.
Yes.
I believe. That we're going to talk about today. It was a Blumhouse production, which I think fits in nicely with October and the Halloween season. And Ajay, what movie is that?
It is Vengeance, directed by B.J. Novak, starring B.J. Novak, Issa, Dove Cameron, Boyd Holbrook, Ashton Kutcher, and many other people.
Yeah, it's good cast. And Ajay, what is Vengeance about?
So Vengeance stars B.J. Novak in his directorial debut as he plays this man named Ben Manalowitz. He is a writer for The New Yorker, not New York Magazine, as he likes to clarify many times in the movie.
Ben Manalowitz, a successful writer and a regular contributor to New York Magazine.
The New Yorker.
He is a writer for The New Yorker Magazine, and he's very much a coastal liberal, elite lib, who finds out that a chick that he used to have a fling with passes away. It's revealed as a drug overdose, but the family believes it was a murder. So he goes to West Texas to uncover the myth or the death of Abilene Shaw, and craziness ensues from there.
All right, yeah. And Ajay, what are your feelings on Vengeance?
So I recommended this film to discuss on the pod, and there's a good reason why. Because I remember watching it back in 2022, and that was actually mentioned on the State of the Film address back in that year. And it still holds up. I love this film so much. It's one of my favorite films of that year, and quite frankly, of all time. I'm not going to lie. I love this film. It's a great film. It's so hilarious. It's a dark comedy. And I think one of the reasons why I love this film so much is that it's very difficult to tackle like a subject of this and not only make it fun and entertaining and enjoyable and funny, but also serve a purpose as well.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of that third act, obviously, if you're watching this, you've watched this movie. But by that third act, when you uncover the true reason as to why she died and the way that it's handled, I think it is a movie that is thoroughly enjoyable from the first minute to the last minute. And yeah, this was a great film. I love it so much. It's a film where it can easily get off the rails easily based off of several moments in this film where you're like, are they in on the joke? Like, are they aware that this is all very much like extension of like liberal terminology and all that? But it's still a very fun watch, and I love it a lot. How about you?
This movie was a surprise. I was surprised how much I enjoyed myself, because you've been talking about this movie for a while. I'm just like, oh, okay, let's see if it lives up to the hype, and it really did. I was pleasantly surprised. BJ Novak he's great as the lead. It's kind of like this, kind of like meek little like, kind of like
Say it. You can say
douchebag.
Oh, I thought we were going for a different word.
Oh, okay, no,
The J word.
like he's wow. Okay,
I'm
ooh. That I'll talk about one of the good joke, one of the best jokes in the movie.
One of the best jokes in the movie.
But no, he plays like this kind of like douchey little prick. But he's so good in the role, and his direction's really good as well. I love a lot of the editing in this movie throughout multiple sequences of him out in West Texas looking just very out of his element. The movie has such a great like hook to it, because it opens with him and John Mayer of all people just kind of like going through their phones, just kind of like talking, just like, yeah, hooked up with this girl, just like, I'd like to really commit, not just like hook up with like 6 to 7 girls, but maybe like commit myself to like 2 to 3 at a time. Just like they're just like,
you could definitely see them like breaking character, because there were moments in that opening shot where they were just like laughing at the lines of dialogue, because it is very pretentious and very gratuitous.
Yeah, no, they are.
And the
very
way that they
pretentious.
say
That's
the
what I was looking
lines
for.
is great. I mean, they keep saying 100% after every line.
Yeah.
100%.
Became so popular is because it's not finished. It could still be anything. 100%.
100%.
100%.
100%.
100%.
You know?
100%.
If I know what someone's parents do for a living, I've hung too long.
I don't ever want to go past knowing what someone's parents do for a living. If I know what someone's parents do for a living, I've hung too long.
100%.
Yeah, no, they're just such chauvinistic little, like, tiny little men. And, but the inciting incident is BJ Novak gets a call from Boyd Holbrook in the middle of the night. And he's like, my sister is OD'd. You were her boyfriend. Come and visit.
Yeah.
And he just kind of does it. He does it because he thinks it would make a good podcast episode. He is the scum of the earth.
Yes.
The worst person humanly possible.
Podcaster. Who would ever go on a podcast and talk about their opinions or feelings about the world? Like, who would ever do such a thing?
I know.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Issa Rae tour the studios with all the podcasters there, I wanted to shoot myself in the head.
It felt so dystopian. It's just like, oh God.
Yeah,
Oh,
all those
no.
Bet DSI ads and Blue Chew ads right there.
This is where we're gonna end up.
Oh yeah,
Oh, great.
selling boner pills to people. Oh my God. Who doesn't want to be a podcaster?
Who
man?
doesn't want to? Do you see this? This is the height of luxury right here.
But you didn't mention the funeral and the scene in which there's
Oh
a
my
hard
God.
cut to Aveline Shaw kissing BJ Novak on the cheek
In the
at the
photo.
Soho house
Yeah.
was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. No, the movie starts as an incredibly almost absurd dark comedy because he does just kind of go to this funeral for a woman he barely knew, kind of posing as her boyfriend, and as it goes along, the movie opens itself up to being kind of like this murder conspiracy because her brother, played so wonderfully by Boyd Holbrook, who I think is a very underrated actor. He's great in this role as this very loud, boisterous kind of stereotypical Texan man with the hats, and he's just like, we got guns. It's like, you don't keep your guns loaded, you keep your phone charged, don't you?
Yeah. There's that line where they're in the car and Boyd Holbrook's character was like, you look like the Schindler's List guy.
Oh yeah, he's talking about, it's like, my life's not a Liam Neeson movie. He's like, you remind me of those guys from that Liam Neeson movie. What was it? Schindler's List.
Yeah.
You kind of look like a guy from a Liam Neeson movie, though. Okay. Which one am I thinking about? Schindler's List.
But yeah, no, he decides to stick around with the family of the girl who died, and try to make this crime podcast about her death and about this conspiracy that Boyd Holbrook has kind of subscribed himself to, where he believes that she was murdered. She didn't OD. She was murdered at a party by possibly a cartel, is what he says, and kind of the movie just goes from there. It starts off as this dark comedy and kind of morphs into a crime film. It's very much one of those movies where someone goes down kind of this rabbit hole and just learns all this stuff and is forever changed by the end of it. And I really love that escalation, not of just the kind of hilarity, but of the legitimate drama and the mystery that we learn surrounding the death and kind of this whole thing that's going on in this small little town in Texas.
It's a great character study film.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, similar to Nightcrawler and American Psycho, maybe not so much to that extent, but it is a full-blown transformation of a character.
Yeah.
Where you see this happy-go-lucky, coastal elite guy, mingling with people of middle America and, fly over America and realizing that, oh no, I'm not in deep with the cartel, but I am in deep with these people, so much so that I'm uncovering the true, just the abuse of power of the departments in this area. Because when he sees, there's this one scene where he sees how there's the cowboy boots are on the floor. And he's like, yeah, this is an issue. And one of the departments yeah, we got a call for cowboy footprints.
Yeah.
And they're kind of laughing at him.
Yeah, and they laugh at him. Yeah. It's so wonderful, just like the way he kind of learns about like this little slice of America. This movie is like a weird, like almost like slice of life film about this man completely out of his depth in like middle of nowhere, West Texas, and kind of like learning about these people. And I really like the scene where he's like interviewing the sisters, and he's like, you know Chekhov's gun, that old literary term. She starts like rattling off names of actual like.
Oh, I've never read any of those.
He's like, I've never actually read any of them, but I am aware of Chekhov's gun.
There's this playwright, Anton Chekhov, and he says that if there's a gun in Act 1 of a play...
There's no guns in any one of these plays I can think of. Cherry Orchard, no. Uncle Vanya,
I'm not actually that familiar with this play.
Just like the way he like misinterprets or like misunderstands the culture of that little like middle America town is very, very fun and very funny.
I mean, he's an insufferable prick for most of the movie.
He is. Oh yeah, he
but
is.
But it plays so well on screen.
What I love when
and it brings up another point. You mentioned how people are familiar with an artist but aren't familiar with their work. It reminds me. It gets into the elephant of the room of this discussion, which is Ashton Kutcher's character.
Yeah.
Because when we're first introduced to Ashton Kutcher's character, what is he doing, Nathan?
He's like a music producer. Yes. He's got like a girl that he's like sing your song, gives like this big speech about just like, well, the Big Bang.
This very good speech, by the way.
I was moved. All of his dialogue is like, it's so pretentious, but it's done in such a way. He's so good in this role.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher. He's never been much of an actor.
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote if you have one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them.
To me, he's just been, oh look, it's Ashton Kutcher. But in this movie, he's really like selling like this weird, like he's a music producer, but like weird like cult vibes that you get from him. Like he's a charismatic cult leader, and I love when him and BJ Novak meet initially because they're kind of the same person in a way. Like,
and you can tell that he's bonding and connecting with Ashton Kutcher the most out of the entire characters that we're seeing.
Out of everyone he's met so far, the only person who he's truly like connected with is kind of like this scumbag like music producer who is, as we learn throughout the movie, is not what he seems. And it's such a great scene because they're basically like the same person.
You're a playlist guy.
He's like, you're a playlist guy. You don't listen to the music. You listen to what your own brain tells you to listen to. It's like weird like wraparound stuff like that.
You like the music.
You like the music.
You think people that are familiar with Oscar Wilde can even name a single quote from him?
It's just like,
you think people that are familiar with Audrey Hepburn can even tell you a movie that she starred in?
I think half the people that are posting quotes from Oscar Wilde have ever actually read one of his plays.
Are posting photos of Audrey Hepburn have actually seen the film that it's from?
Not a chance.
Like the entire time, BJ Novak is like, yeah, no. It's like he's agreeing with everything this guy is saying, because again, they're the same person, essentially.
Why is this in a recording studio? We don't even make records anymore.
Why do I call myself a record producer?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even make records anymore.
You know? It's funny how like he gave this like really hard like speech to this little girl. And then he tells her to sing, and it's literally the most like middle school lyrics ever.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like I finished my shift at Claire's.
I finished my shift at Claire's.
As I'm walking through the mall, it's like they make a joke about Rebecca Black's Friday.
Yeah, you can clear that. It won't be that hard to get.
No, it's just like we think it's cheap.
And I think it also deals with I wouldn't say naivete of people that live in the middle America or just in people in general, but it definitely lends into the idea of like people that are willing to lie. Because there are moments in this film where characters are like, oh yeah, Appeline Shaw, she wouldn't even touch an Advil.
The girl never took so much as an Advil in her life. You know that. You know her better than anybody.
She OD. This is Abby we're talking about here, because she wouldn't touch the stuff. Girl wouldn't touch an Advil.
Oh, I love that line, yeah.
And then you see in like the great reveal where they're seated at the Whataburger restaurant and the grandma says, "Oh, she was a big pill popper."
Yeah.
That's what the daughters told me. And it's kind of revealed right then and there that, oh, he was lied to by this family. Not because this family hated him, but because they didn't want to be told the truth as to what truly happened to him.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting movie where both sides of this story, like BJ Novak as kind of like this pretentious kind of dick, and then this, you know, middle America family, how they both have like ammunition kind of against one another. It's weird thinking about like the Ashton Kutcher lines, but he has this great little monologue where he's like, "Oh, the people out here aren't like stupid or anything. They're actually like really smart and have all this like mental like processing power, but it's like they just have nowhere to put it because this place is a giant desert, and so all that energy goes to conspiracy theories and drugs and violence." And it's like,
and blowing up Toyota Priuses.
Oh,
that was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. When BJ Novak's car gets blown up, and then you just see a hard cut to him at the hospital with a little boo-boo on his head.
Yeah, in a good way.
What happened to you, son?
I love when he comes out and Boyd Holbrook is like, "They blew up his car, Mama. Imagine if it was a real one with gasoline."
What if you were driving a real car with gas and stuff?
I mean, every interaction between Boyd Holbrook and BJ Novak was hilarious.
Yeah,
when he's talking about Six Flags, and you know, BJ Novak lists the 5 flags. He's like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right, son. It's all 5 flags." And then you just see like a cut to the horses, and then just you see the Confederate flag. And then when he's explaining like why he's a big fan of UT Austin, because he thought that, oh, since he's a Texan, since he's in Texas, they will all love UT Austin, but he was the only one standing up. Yeah. And then when they announced Texas Tech, everyone stood up
because they bring him out in front. They're just like, "What do you like about University of Texas?" And he's like, "Well, I really like they have a great film program and blah blah blah."
Richard Linklater studied there.
Some of the graduates include, I believe, Richard Linklater.
Okay. Then they cut to the other guy just like, "What do you like about Texas Tech?" He's like, "The quarterback!" And everyone loses their minds. Yeah. It's just so many.
I'm a writer.
Fun.
What do you write, son? I'm a writer, like a journalist, like, you know, like things that you see in print. I know what a damn writer is.
You condescending asshole! I know what a writer is.
Somebody has to actually think about what those words.
I know what a writer is, you condescending asshole.
It was good.
Just so many little moments like that are so fun. But I think a really big part of the movie is him kind of like bonding with this family of this girl who he barely knew. I think there's a lot of like heart to the movie because we watch as he slowly like bonds with this family, with Boyd Holbrook. I really love their friendship and dynamic. He makes friends with like the mother and the grandmother. It's like the little brother who they call El Stupido. Like he walks into the room with a gun pointed at him. He's like, "Can you help me unload my gun?"
When BJ Novak walks up to Dove Cameron and mother, and he's like, "You two could look like siblings," and like the Dove Cameron's like, "You think I look this old?" And the mom's like, "Thank you so much."
These are really your daughters? I mean, you all could be sisters.
Oh, you think that I look this fucking old?
One of my favorite little moments is he's trying to like have a sweet little moment with like the little brother who like sleeps on the floor of the room he's staying in. And he's like, "Hey, Mason." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Nothing. Good night." He's like, "You woke me up just to say good night?" Yeah. It's just so funny and quirky and strange, and I really like it. I'm shocked that BJ Novak hasn't made anything since, because I would like to see more of what he's got. It's only been I know, but it's been a long 2 years, man.
So having said all that, this was my first introduction to like anything The Office related. I've never, for me personally, this is going to be a shock to a lot of viewers, but I've never seen a single episode of The Office.
That's fine.
And this was like my first entry point into like anything Office related. And I love BJ Novak. And this is a great film. This is a film that I could see like Nathan Fielder make, possibly.
Really? Ooh.
In just a few moments, I'm going to be handcuffed to this solid steel frame. and I'll have exactly 90 seconds to free myself before the claw on this robotic arm undoes my pants, exposing me to an audience of children. If that happens, an LAPD officer is standing by to arrest me for indecent exposure.
But in a more grotesque, dark comedy way.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much in a more in this like clean cut way, but I do think that Nathan Fielder could handle a topic like this.
Yeah.
And really excel in it.
I can see that. Do we want to get into spoilers?
We're already into spoilers.
We already are, so, but like we haven't like gotten really.
Yeah. So what's revealed at the end of this, Nathan?
At the end of the movie, we are revealed that like it is this whole conspiracy where the brother of the family believes that she was murdered, and we have a confrontation between BJ Novak and Ashton Kutcher. It's this great final confrontation at this party. The entire movie hinges on like this party that always happens. Like everyone goes, but no one's there.
Yeah.
And it's like this very big secret, and a big point is made about the quote unquote after party, which is this little just like spread of land between 4 law jurisdictions where just bodies are dumped and people like OD and die out there. That's what leads us to the scene where BJ Novak is going between like different like the border patrol and the highway patrol, and just like because it's between like it's this nebulous zone, they all just bounce it between each other, and he can get no information but from any of them. And essentially he finds out that it was Ashton Kutcher who is technically responsible for the death of this girl Abilene. She OD'd. She tried to call the police, he wouldn't let her, and dragged her to the after party to let her die. And there's this fantastic confrontation where BJ Novak thinks he's got him dead to rights. He's recorded the conversation, and then Ashton
Kutcher spills it out, being like, you know, we're going to have to appear on shows now.
Yeah.
You know, this is now not going to be our story. It's going to be everyone's story.
Yeah, no, everyone is going to have their take. I may start out as the villain, but like he goes into this whole like speech about like how the media and how people react to like these true crime like stories and podcasts, because that's a big like
it's a satirization of the true crime podcast,
basically,
especially with the podcast named Dead White Girl.
Dead White. That's every time Issa Rae says that, just like they are loving Dead White Girl is so much fun.
Dead White Girl, holy grail of podcasts.
But yeah, he goes through this whole thing just like I'll start as the villain, but then they'll look to you as someone who was uncaring, who just wanted to exploit this story, and then the entire family involved won't be considered people. They'll just be caricatures of themselves, and it's this really like chilling kind of monologue. And again, like Ashton Kutcher's performance is so weirdly like fantastic. He is like bone chilling when he is describing all of this. I'm like, oh my god, like
he's a good actor. I liked him in the Steve Jobs biopic. I know people weren't a big fan of that movie, but I do think that he did pretty well. I do think that given the right script and the right direction, Ashton Kutcher is a good actor.
I can believe that. After seeing this, I can believe
The Butterfly Effect, also not that bad of a film. There are issues with the film.
I haven't seen the Butterfly.
You haven't seen the okay.
I haven't seen the Butterfly Effect.
Been a while.
But you know what? I might now, because he was pretty good in this movie. But
John Mayer, MVP of this movie.
John Mayer.
100%.
I clean up dog poop wearing a paddock.
I clean up dog poop wearing a paddock.
There was
100%.
Oh yeah, whatever. But yeah, that scene in which they were both talking was amazing. And
that final confrontation, and BJ Novak just kind of at the end
shoots him,
just shoots him point blank. Which
how did he feel about that ending? Because I've seen people have split reactions to
really.
that ending.
I think
I like it a lot.
It's an ending that works because after going through kind of all of this, he finally like he comes face to face with like this weird like I think reflection of himself. Almost this kind of like exploitative cynic who is like, yeah, go ahead, release it. This is your magnum opus. This is what you've been building towards. And kind of in that moment, he realizes like his entire life has kind of just been like exploiting people. And so in that moment, he kind of decides like he deletes all the like recordings that they have of the podcast and decides to kill Ashton Kutcher out of vengeance for the girl he let die.
I want to know like what happens to BJ Novak after this. Like,
I mean,
what happens to Ben Manalowitz?
It's clear he gets away because hey, no one calls 911 in Texas.
Yeah,
but people are split on the ending.
Yeah, because
really?
I think in a lot of ways, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, but they think that it is a thing that the character wouldn't have done.
Honestly, the big problem with this film is that clearly BJ Novak didn't know how to land the plane. He had all these great ideas, an interesting blend of comedy, themes, and true crime podcast as a movie, but he didn't know how to like pull it all together, tie it up in a way that felt satisfying as you get to the very end.
He lives in, the coastal area. He's against guns. It was shown that he was against guns for most of the movie, and then you see him shooting someone.
I mean,
that's not coming from me. That's coming from other people.
That's
coming from the not general consensus. But
that
like
is very strange because that makes me feel as though people didn't watch the movie, because the movie is about him coming to terms with the fact that everything he thinks is like true is kind of skewed. There's a moral gray area. He is exposed to a part of, his life, a part of the world that he has not really personally experienced. And as he does this, he changes over time. He understands like why these people are the way they are, why they think the way they think, and like comes to understand and empathize with them. And like, as again, because it's a crime movie, obviously he gets into some deep shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like it makes sense that he would have this change, because again, he's like down the rabbit hole at this point, and we've seen him kind of emotionally like have to reckon with himself and what he believes to be is true about himself, or like the work he does. And so him coming out there and shooting Ashton Kutcher point blank, it makes sense to me as like the climax for his character.
With Lana Del Rey's American playing
with,
in the
oh my God,
which was a great song choice. I love that song so much. I was listening to that song on the way here.
When that happened, when I just like hear just like
American house, put your favorite record on,
like an American. It's like oh my God, now I know what like every girl in my high school was feeling like all the time listening to Lana Del Rey. This is what it is about.
It's such
shooting
a
Ashton Kutcher in the face point blank.
I love this film so much.
It's
really one of my favorite movies of
great.
2022. Honestly, I wish it was my number one. I didn't rank it. I don't know why I stopped ranking movies. why I stopped ranking movies in 2022, but it's my favorite film of 2022, and honestly, one of my favorite films of the past 5 years. I will definitely say that.
No, that's so solid. It's so great. It's so funny. It's such a well-crafted kind of like crime and like mystery film. There's a lot going on, a lot to chew on thematically. It's so great, and I hope we see more from BJ Novak soon, because he's obviously a very funny writer, but this is such just a well-crafted thriller with such a great escalation within it, and a lot of heart as well, too, that I really appreciate. And so, yeah, no, this is a fantastic film, Vengeance.
Great film. And that's about it for us. I'm not gonna lie. I think we added a lot in this sort of discussion.
Yeah, no, this is a good one. Yeah, no, it's a solid, great movie, and I highly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, it's great. And easily, like, this is a film where if you just watch the first scene alone, you're like, are they in on the joke? Like, are they aware that this plays out very cringeworthy and that they're cringeworthy people? But like, as you watch the film, you understand that, oh no, like, they're aware of the joke. They're in on the joke of them being like these like coastal elitists.
Just like douchebags.
Yeah. Like there's that line where Boyd Holbrook was like, every day, we just keep going back to this place despite us hating it. And then BJ Novak's like, that's exactly how I feel about Twitter.
This is the most wretched, God-forsaken stretch of land on the face of the earth. And I'd never leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Twitter.
I also liked in Issa Rae's office, she has all these like notepads, and on one of them it just says "douche goes west." It's like that was the
alternative title.
That was the alternative title of that movie.
Yeah,
it was kind of great. Yeah.
So overall, go check out this movie.
Great movie, Vengeance.
Great movie, and that's about it for us.
That's it for us.
Nathan will not be here next week.
I won't be here next week.
So I may just have to do a review. Is that fine by myself?
That's fine. Yeah, no, you can get Ethan, you can get Dan on the pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can still use my space if
name
you
and
want.
likeness.
I'll leave the you can put my like AI image over one of them.
Well, are you down with that?
Yeah, no, you can just I signed the papers, remember that?
Okay, yeah,
The
sure.
contract that we did for this show?
Yeah.
It said you could use my image after I died.
Okay. That's perfect. That's exactly what we need.
Yeah, no.
Another
that's-
Ian Holm, you know?
Exactly.
Anyways, go watch this Woody Allen movie on steroids. I love it so much.
You are so self-righteous, you know? I mean, we're just people. We're just human beings, you know? You think you're God. I gotta model myself after someone.
I tried to admit that for most of the review.
No, that's fine. You
but
can say it.
I love it.
It's all good.
I love Woody Allen. I love this movie as well.
That's great. I can't wait for Woody Allen to die, but
go
awesome.
read Woody Allen's recent autobiography. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.